and I'm a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor. Did you know there's functionality in QuickBooks that will greatly reduce the chances of you making errors in your accounting? I'm going to show you, but as you can see, I really need to get back to my office. QuickBooks has amazing functionality called Memorize Transaction that can greatly reduce the chance of errors in accounting. Memorize Transactions are a feature of QuickBooks that allow the user to do the following. A. Identify those transactions that occur with a degree of regularity. B. Properly record the correct elements of an accounting transaction every time. And C. Serve as a reminder that certain transactions need to be recorded for accurate periodic reporting. Just about every, but not all, transactions in QuickBooks allow for the transaction to be memorized for future use. For example, if the user is recording a journal entry such as monthly depreciation, clicking on the Edit menu will reveal an option to memorize the journal entry. Ideally, transactions are memorized when it is likely they will repeatedly occur in the future. One of the best examples of this is a monthly depreciation entry. Other examples would be monthly lease charges charged to a bank account, bank service charges, repetitive purchase from one supplier, and repetitive invoices issued to one customer. I will now demonstrate two examples of memorized transactions. The first is the monthly depreciation journal entry. Once the entry has been completed, but the Save and Close or Save and New buttons have not been clicked, click on Edit and then Memorize General Journal. The first thing to do is to give the memorized transaction a name. Once you have given the memorized transaction a name, the next thing to do is to give QuickBooks some special instructions about this memorized transactions. On the left-hand side of the dialog box are three options: Remind Me, Don't Remind Me, and Automatically Enter. By clicking the Don't Remind Me button, there are no further options, and the memorized transaction will end up on something called the Memorized Transaction list when you click the OK button. Clicking on the Remind Me or Automatically Enter will permit you to be more specific about the future entries of this transaction. The specifics of the future entries that can be defined with the Remind Me option are the frequency, or how often and the next date this transaction should be recorded. The specifics of the Automatically Enter are similar to Remind Me, but the user can enter the number of times remaining to record a transaction and the number of days to enter in advance. Again, either method of a memorized transaction will end up on the memorized transaction list once the OK button has been pressed. The second transaction to be memorized is slightly different. Memorized transactions can also be useful when something is being purchased with the same items but in different amounts. For example, a bill being entered from a vendor that has the same expense allocations every month but different dollar amounts is a good use of memorized transactions. I'll use the example of a check to a telephone company that provides telephone, internet access, and yellow page advertising. Three different account allocations that happen each month but in different dollar amounts. Once the transactions have been memorized, you need to look at the memorized transaction lists. This lists all the memorized transactions, and from here, transactions can be edited or entered. I'll illustrate the use of the list to record another check to the telephone company. Simply highlight the transaction and click on Enter Transaction at the bottom, and the check reappears. On this check to the phone company, the amount will be slightly higher due to the fact we had additional long-distance costs. All that needs to be done is an update of the allocations and the transaction can be completed. More techniques and list functions of the memorized transactions will be covered in QuickBooks Sandwich number 2 on memorized transactions. And so, memorized transactions in QuickBooks can greatly reduce the chance of accounting mistakes and errors. Speaking of chance, behind me is Chance Harbor. I've been a QuickBooks Pro Advisor since 2001, a professionally designated accountant since 1981, and for the past 4 years, I've taught a whole lot of people how to use QuickBooks. You may have guessed that I have a high value on free time and enjoy outdoor activities in all 4 seasons of the year. If you guessed that, you guessed correctly. I'm hoping that this video helped you increase your QuickBooks knowledge and will allow you to have more free time. But if you find yourself still with an appetite for more QuickBooks knowledge, don't worry, there'll be lots more servings of the QuickBooks sandwiches coming up very soon.